You're listening to an Anderson Entertainment production.
This episode,
we're redecorating the kitchen in FAB Facts.
It'd be very cool if we could maintain our monopoly in the Randomiser.
And that Jeremy Hitchen, well, we couldn't drag him away.
Thank goodness for that. That's all coming up in Pod 151.
Of the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson and Richard James.
Now, I feel...
What?
No,
Go on.
I feel it's a fresh start. We've got 150 behind us, haven't we?
Yes,
out the way,
you
done.
see.
So this could be considered a fresh start, couldn't it?
That's sort of what I was going to say. It was happy new 50th quarter of something. Anyway,
That's right.
It's the 151st podcast, which means we're 5-ish away from our actual 3-year anniversary.
Oh, really?
3 years of doing this podcast.
Good. Well, good. Someone had
Goodness
to.
me. That is true. I don't know what I'm going to get you for our third birthday, but...
are you going to get me something? I mean, that's news. That is true, Gerry Anderson news right there. I'm getting something from Jamie for our 3rd year anniversary podcast.
I should have saved
episode.
it for later, but yes,
for the
probably.
news, yeah.
Anyway, look, 3 years doing the same old stuff, so by now Podsterons should know exactly what we're doing, but why don't you elucidate newbies and those who aren't sure what's coming up with a list of things that are coming up?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I say it's like a brand new start, and it's like starting again, but essentially it's the same podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Really.
Same old stuff.
We've got, Fab Facts coming up in just a moment, of course. We've got some Gerry Anderson news, because there's always exciting stuff happening in the Gerry Anderson universe. We've got Chris Dale coming along with his amazing randomizer a little later on. And, of course, we've been hearing from our Podsterons who've been emailing us at podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. They've been hashtagging us, Gerry Anderson Podcast, over on Twitter. And they've been posting on our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Podsterons. And if that wasn't enough, we've also got the second part of Jamie's interview with Jeremy Hitchen.
The lovely Dr. Neinstein himself, yes, back for a few gags, a few anecdotes, and a few tender moments too.
Lovely. Look forward to all of that.
Who doesn't like a tender moment?
I love a tender moment.
They sound like a sweet or something, don't they?
They do. Do you know what I hate about the moment? Those. Have you seen the? I think it's Werther's Originals, their new marketing campaign here in the UK. What's your little piece of warmth?
Oh,
isn't that awful? I mean, that's awful. What little piece of warmth?
Yeah, that sounds a bit unsanitary, doesn't it?
Does rather, doesn't it? Anyway, sorry about
Do you know
that.
what? I'll give you a fab fact before we get into the main fab fact here.
Oh, go on, yes.
That Werther's Originals were Dad's absolute favourite sweet or candy for our North American listeners.
Now, you see, I have a strange sense of deja vu now that we've covered this already. We've done so many podcasts and we talk so much rubbish that I think we might have already covered this. I might have already told that story about Little Piece of Warmth because I have a feeling that you then responded with the fact that it was your dad's favourite sweet.
Well, these things happen when you've done this many podcasts. We repeat ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can I tell you? He'd pick them up from the garage on the way home from Pinewood and then would often eat an entire bag in one evening.
Now, I think that's new information.
Yeah, which I think probably contributed to his diabetes, I have to say.
Oh.
So, listeners, there's something we can all learn and do better. Don't eat a whole bag of Werther's Original every day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure even the manufacturers of Werther's, well, I suppose it's Werther's, isn't it? Even they wouldn't suggest that you would do such a thing.
Probably not. Okay, well, there we go.
I want to try a bag of Werther's Unoriginals. do they just taste like every other sweet?
Well, this is the sort of gag and toffee type nugget that people come to the Gerry Anderson podcast for. But let's get us back on track.
Oh, yes, go on then.
With Fab Facts.
Now, time for this week's Fab Facts.
So you're getting 2 Fab Facts this week. One was the Werther's Original Fab Fact, but also a randomly appointed Fab Fact from the Book of Fab Facts, where I will flick through. Richard will shout Fab at a random point, and then I will read you a Fab Fact from the page where we stop randomly. Are you ready, Richard James?
Ready.
Are you ready, Podsteron?
Ready.
I thought you might be. Here we go.
Fab.
I think you're going to like this one.
Oh, right, okay.
Let's start by talking about you.
Oh, yes, I love it already. This is my favourite.
Richard James.
Yeah.
Can you confirm to me, is it true or not, that the life of an actor is not always easy?
Oh, that's cheered me up. It is. That's true. Yeah.
And can you also confirm to me that there are, in fact, times when you may have to take on work that maybe isn't something you really love, but it's there just in order to make ends meet?
Yeah, all right. Well, don't rub it in. Well, yes, that's true as well. I've done a bit of that, yeah.
I thought so. Well, today's FAB Fact concerns the between roles of a much-loved and much-missed member of the Century 21 family, Mr. Ed Bishop.
Oh, yeah.
So, this might make you feel better, possibly, about your own career and roles.
Oh, thanks. I'm not sure I'm enjoying this quite as much as I hoped I would.
Let's see if we can change that. When acting projects were thin on the ground, Ed Bishop would often fall back on building work and interior decorating and things like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, after UFO, acting work was very thin on the ground for him in the UK. People seemed to think that after playing a leading man, he wouldn't be so interested in the kinds of smaller roles that had been his bread and butter until UFO. Mm-hmm. When, of course, he would have been if anybody had offered him any.
Of course.
So, in the early 1970s, Ed moved back to the States to see if things might go better for him out there. Unfortunately for Ed, that turned out even worse, because now he found himself as just another American actor in a country that was surprisingly full of them. Whereas
Right.
in the UK, he had at least been part of a network of the sort of renter-yank group who were regularly needed by British producers. In fact, his American experiment seems to have only yielded 2 roles. A voice in an episode of the animated Star Trek.
Seen it.
And the villain, I'm sure you will have seen this too, in a sexploitation film named Pets, also known as Submission.
Yep.
He was so embarrassed by that film that he finally decided to come back to England to be greeted by a chorus of, "Ed, where have you been? We've so much work that you could have had here. We could have kept you busy for the rest of your life."
Great.
And, ironically, a call from the producers of Star Trek asking where he'd gone because they wanted him back for more episodes.
Oh.
Poor Ed.
Curses.
But while Ed was living in New York, he continued his building and interior decorating work. One evening, he was in an apartment in the Bronx wallpapering a kitchen, and the family, who consisted of a couple and their teenage daughter, went into the other room to watch the TV. Ed continued working and then stopped as he heard some familiar music coming from the other room. He put his head round the door, and there on the screen was Commander Straker and the rest of Shadow rolling out for another adventure.
Great.
Now, we don't know what Ed did next, but he always seemed like a pretty humble man, so he probably chose to keep quiet rather than burst into the room and start pointing at the TV like a madman. But you never know. If the family were fans of the show and hadn't recognised Ed for all the time he'd been working in their kitchen, then they were probably never going to now. So,
Yes, true.
And of course, he didn't have the iconic Straker wig on, so I guess that's maybe why they didn't recognise him. I don't think that was part of his building garb.
Okay.
So presumably, Ed chose to keep working, finished the job, got paid, and then left with the family completely unaware that the star of one of their favourite shows had been wallpapering their kitchen.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, that is nice.
So,
yeah.
Richard James, this begs the question, since becoming an actor, a thespian,
Yes.
what is the worst job that you can speak about that you've taken in that time?
The worst job? Oh, well, if you live in Scandinavia, then around about the turn of the century, 2000, 2001, you might have got a call at about 10 o'clock at night, your time, from someone wanting to know all about your newly installed parquet flooring. How you rated it, how you were enjoying the experience of having the flooring in your apartment,
right,
and if you would recommend it to your fellow Scandinavians.
Right.
And that person might have been me. I've done it. I've worked a few call centres in my time. I remember that was a call I had to make several times.
But that's really specific. What?
Well, you did ask.
Did you not have to speak Swedish or Norwegian or something?
No, because they speak it. They all speak English, don't they? Because they're all much more, sort of hyper intelligent than we are.
Yeah, that's true. Fair enough.
Yes. So I've had my share. I've had an interview to work in a crematorium. Didn't get it. I mean, even when I wasn't auditioning for acting work, I still got rejected.
Wow.
So you can't win.
Yeah. You can't.
But do you know what used to bring me solace was a very similar story I remember hearing about Nicholas Courtney, who played the Brigadier in Doctor Who, of course, under John Pertwee and Tom Baker. He would take building work between series. So it's very easy, as you say, to think, well, he's playing a leading role in a TV show. He must be rolling in it, or the work must be coming in. Well, that's not always the case. Sometimes you've got to pay the bills.
Well, didn't you tell me that Ray Winston on Space Bridget hadn't even been working as a cabbie?
That's
before?
right, exactly. Ray Winston, yeah.
There you go.
I've even had to work for Big Finish. I know. It's true.
Yeah, funnily
got
enough,
that bad.
just saying that may have stopped that having to happen in the future, I suspect.
Oh,
but
dear.
Good to know.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. So there you go. The highs and lows of Ed Bishop there, including wallpapering a kitchen and not being recognised.
That's great.
It's amazing, the secret lives that people live. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this week's Ed Fact.
Oh, that's a lovely story. I remember once going up to pick a bit of furniture up from someone's house, and they were showing. They had the Misty Show, which is a show I did in their living room as I was picking up a little chaise longue. Yeah, that was fun.
Did they recognise you?
They did. Well, only because unlike Ed Bishop, I did jump into the room pointing, saying, it's me. No, I didn't. Anyway, people have been emailing us in. Would you like to hear some emails, Jamie?
Oh, I'd love nothing more than that.
I thought so. Steve, for example, got in touch to say, hi, chaps, here's a random thought. Jamie, have you ever thought about getting a real mole for your farmstead? I know it'll make holes in your lawn, but hey, small price to pay for a great anecdote. Mind you, it might be easier to get a firefly or get an aquarium for a stingray. Okay, I'll stop now. All the best.
Well, Steve, it's funny you should mention that because I have just taken delivery of a new tractor. I say new, it's a 1970s tractor.
Great.
But it's new to me, and gosh, I think we might call it Thunderbird 7.
Oh, I like it. Please paint that on and post a picture on Twitter. We've got to see that.
Will do.
Done. And Chris got in touch to say, Dear Gerry Anderson Podcast, I wanted to share with the Gerry Anderson universe that the conservationist and TV presenter Chris Packham has done some videos on behalf of the National Autistic Society about employment and the way we're ignoring the talents of autism. Quite right, Chris. And we welcome all here, of course, at the podcast. He says they can be found at www.nas.org.uk/Chris. He then goes on to say, my favourite Gerry Anderson shows were Space Precinct and New Captain Scarlet. And I can just about remember watching the reruns of Thunderbirds on BBC Two. I know Richard likes to speak about Space Precinct. I don't know where he's got that idea.
No, never mentions it.
Chris says, no, it was a TV show ahead of its time and should be rebooted. And I found this Space Precinct merchandise, a figure of Officer Haldane, in a stall at Plymouth Market. Only cost me £3 and it'll be staying in its packaging. Oh, quite right too. Ian got in touch to say, hi, Richard and Jamie, just a couple of quick questions. Have you interviewed the voice actor who played Joe 90? And did Gerry have a final say as to the look and character of his puppets? And by the way, really enjoyed the Gerry Anderson Day. Watched all of the shows on Networks Night In. Great to see most of them in high definition and the colour version of XL5. Well done to all involved. P.S. I've just ordered Terror from the Stars on CD. I can't wait. And that's regards from Ian. So, well, I mean, is there any interview with the actor who played Joe 90 anywhere? Have we ever heard that?
All that we've ever heard is a local radio station recording, which is on YouTube. If you search for Len Jones Joe 90 interview. Yeah. And they were talking about Joe 90, and allegedly he called in and said, that was me. I mean, you couldn't possibly tell from the voice. Obviously, Joe's voice on the show was, pre-voice broken period. Yes. And this bloke who gets on the radio says, yeah, no, this is Len Jones. I played Joe 90. Yeah, I did some recordings.
Right.
I mean, so
really?
We don't actually know it was him. Now, Len does pop up from time to time on social media, and we have asked him before about an interview multiple times, very nicely. And we generally get ignored. So I have a feeling it's not something he wants to talk about, which is totally fair enough. So, Len, we wish you well. You're out there somewhere. If you ever change your mind, do let us know. podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk.
Absolutely right. And did Gerry have any final say as to the look and character of the puppets? I would assume so.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way through, he would mostly trust the team, and obviously the team did an amazing job, but he had veto if required.
Yes. Indeed. Greetings, gentlemen, says Dom. Thanks for reading my previous email. I've gone back to listen to the old pods.
Oh, dear.
Especially to listen, to the Sophia Miles, Wayne Forrester, David Tremont, John Glenn, Ray Earl and Catherine Schell interviews. Sophia was lovely to hear talking about the 2004 film.
She was
of which she, Ron Cook and Richard Curtis being the best thing about that film. Richard Curtis? Is he an actor, or did he have something to do with the writing?
He rewrote it, didn't he? Or he wrote some of the gags, I think, yeah.
I see, very good. Wayne talking about how he got the job on Space Precinct and Scarlet was interesting, and every time he opens his mouth, all I hear is Captain Scarlet. David Tremont was amazing as well. Such an interesting career, yet so humble about it. John Glenn's stories from the sets of the Bond films were both hilarious and informative. Ray Earl shares my love of original Scarlet with so much passion, and Catherine talking about her life moving from Hungary, getting the job on Her Majesty's Secret Service and working on set with Martin and Barbara on Space 1999. Also, really enjoying the interview with Lumna Kerr. You always have fantastic guests, and the natural banter between you guys is brilliant. I have a question further to the one you kindly answered last time. If it is something I feel strongly about, is it worth me writing to ITV as a fan to put pressure on them to consider an HD release of Thunderbirds and Stingray, or will it fall on deaf ears? Thanks for keeping me sane. Sorry, it's been a long email. Stay safe from Dom. P.S. Listen to Fab Live. John Coleshaw and Genevieve Gaunt are Parker, Jeff and Penelope. Yes, quite right, Dom. That's true. So yeah, is it worth writing a letter to ITV, Jamie?
It's so tough. I mean, we're putting pressure on the decision makers already, the people who make the decisions. Now, if you email into ITV, probably it'll go to their sort of general consumer products team, who will send you back a general, thanks for the suggestion, nothing at this time, we'll pass it on.
Yeah.
Whether it'll be passed on or not, I don't know. Yeah. But, every time we get messages like this, it just adds to our bank of evidence that it's in high demand. So we will keep pushing as much as we can. It certainly won't do any harm writing in. Because you never know. Sometimes you might just get the right person at ITV on the consumer team who says, right, I'm going to do something about this. So, go ahead. Drop them a line. Yeah. But we'll keep doing it too. And hopefully between us all, we'll eventually get a proper Blu-ray release in the UK, because it seems completely ridiculous that there isn't one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. And finally, for now, the debate rages on concerning the master elevator car crashes from Trapped in the Sky, I think it was. It? Yes. I just picked one email out of seemingly hundreds that we got about this. And this is from Jack, who says, "Hi, that whole crash scene was an accident. Shortly before Thunderbird 2's arrival, Scott tells Virgil to unload the master elevator car with 2 radio-controlled subsidiaries, 3 cars total. And we see 3 cars total lined up on the runway awaiting the arrival of Fireflash. This would not be the case if one of the 3 unloaded cars had crashed. Where did this phantom 4th car come from? That being said, it's been a long time since I watched Trapped in the Sky. Maybe I'm missing something. Regards, Jack." I mean, there's a whole load of extra stuff there that I
think they had more in the pod and they just deployed additional ones after the crash. But, you look at the emails that we've had about this, it's quite astonishing. Quite long theses about the whole thing, and stated with equal confidence by one party that it's car number 3, and then by another that it's the master car. So
that's right.
I don't think we're ever going to know the truth, because you both have got really compelling cases. So yeah, it's just going to be one of those mysteries. Unless you can solve it, of course, Podsteron. Can you?
Oh, finally, once and for all, yes. Do let us know, and send in anything else to podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk, and I shall endeavour to read out your emails next time.
Please do endeavour. I'm going to endeavour to give you some Gerry Anderson news. How do you feel about that?
Oh, great. I'm very excited about that.
Then here comes some Gerry Anderson news. It's the Gerry Anderson
News.
That's quite right. So let's get straight in with this. Yes, it's the Gerry Anderson News, and let's get started this week with, I'm going to get started by telling you I'm going to save the best for last. Something that you'll like, Richard, because you know about it. And, all will be revealed.
Ooh.
But first up, if you are looking at those lovely Bachmann plastic model kits, Thunderbirds ones, Thunderbird 2 is gone. there are no more Thunderbird 2s. There is a Thunderbird 2 launch bay and the transparent Thunderbird 2, but the standard Thunderbird 2 model is out, and we don't expect it back until August this year. Thunderbird 1 is going the same way. There are 14 left in the warehouse, and we don't expect any more before August. So if you're looking to get a Thunderbird 1 from Bachmann and you want to make it before August, well, you know where to go. shop.gerryanderson.co.uk. While you're there, you may experience some improved speed. We've been doing a lot of development work in the background. The store should run faster for you. It should be easier for you to find stuff. Let us know your experience. podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. And while you're there...
Exciting.
Well, you might want to join Anderson Insiders, which has now moved over to the store. It's all built in. You can subscribe there once you're logged in and you are a member of Insiders. You get all your discounts automatically applied. It's all rather nice. If you want to go there, then go to andr.sn, andr.sn/insiders, and you should be able to join from there.
Oh, yeah.
If you fancy some reading, then Chris Dale's done a rather nice article over on the Gerry Anderson website, gerryanderson.co.uk, about all we know about the mysterious Harlington Straker Studios.
Oh, yeah.
Another lovely piece from Chris there, which I'm sure you'll enjoy, whether a UFO fan or not. If you've ordered Space 1999 stuff from 1612, you may well already be aware that the Suez Canal blockage has created more and more problems, and we've now got a major backlog, so there are further delays, I'm afraid. You should have heard now from Tim or Louise on the store. They will let you know. But if you haven't had an update, just drop us a line, support@gerryanderson.co.uk, and we'll give you our best estimate. But it's quite a challenging time to be making things and shipping things across the world, so thank you for bearing with us. And finally, we've saved the best till last, haven't we, Richard?
Yes.
Yes. 5-Star 5, Dad's answer to Star Wars, which almost went into production in the late 70s and then never quite made it. Well, the dear Richard James,
Yes.
this man here, talking to me now, he's done a novelisation. Robbie Stevens has done a very special reading of the audiobook, and we'll be announcing further details, showing you the cover and putting those up for pre-order. You can get a hardback copy and or a CD set from shop.gerryanderson.co.uk from the 5th, so just a couple of days' time. So make sure you're on the mailing list if you want to get alerted of that as soon as it goes live, or just keep an eye on the store. But more details very soon. I think, Podsteron, you already know more than a lot of people just because you've listened in here. So thanks for listening. That is the end of this week's Gerry Anderson News.
That was the news. That was the news.
Ah, what a lovely lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, every week,
What?
basically, there's going to be news. We're never going to have that BBC thing from whenever it was, 1930-something, where today
that's right.
there is no news, and then 15 minutes of piano music. But maybe,
That's right.
maybe one
Yes.
day, I don't know.
Maybe one day that'll happen.
Can't believe
Promise.
it.
No, it'll just be you and your Robert the Robot vocoder voice thing.
Hang on.
There is no news. Oh.
There is no news.
Right, thank you. You're listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast, as if you needed to know that. You can subscribe to us, of course, on whichever platform you listen to us on, and that will make sure that you receive every new episode as it appears. You can leave us a nice review and a rating and let us know what you think. And, of course, you can copy and paste the links all over your socials so that your friends can hear us too. That would be great. Now,
Yeah, do that.
yeah, wouldn't it be good? Over on our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Podsterons, Robert Pells posted a picture of a church in Reykjavik, saying, "Is it me or did Thunderbirds have something to do with this church in Iceland?" And you'll only know what he's talking about if you join our group and have a look. Earl Black said, "What did SPA mean again? Was it Space Precinct Affirmative? Space Police Affirmative, absolutely, Earl Black. You're spot on there." Jonathan Bell, just been watching Thunderbirds Are Go and Thunderbirds 6. Which one do you prefer?
Thunderbirds Are
Any
Go, I
thoughts?
think. I mean,
Okay.
you know, that
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of either of the films. I have to be completely honest. There are some lovely
Yeah.
bits in there and some great effect sequences, but yeah,
Okay.
I think an episode over a film for me.
Scott posted, Thunderchocks Are Go. These were done by my wife. What do you guys think of that? And he posted some pictures and videos of some lovely Thunderbirds-themed chocolate bickies. Oh. Robert Cassidy, bargain of the week, if not the year. My dad found this in a PDSA shop for £2. It's a Stingray Marineville headquarters toy. Yep, you read it right. 2 whole English pounds. Not only is it in fantastic condition, but as an added bonus, it had Stingray, the Terrorfish, and all the figures bar phones inside the box too. Just goes to show, Even in the age of eBay, there are still bargains out there if you remain vigilant. Yeah, absolutely, Robert. That looks fantastic. Do let us know, what's the best bargain you found? Gerry Anderson themed toy bargain, or a bit of costume, or even a prop from a show? I don't know. What's the biggest Gerry Anderson bargain you've ever seen online or in a store? And finally, Matti Keskivari posted Top Gear is having a rerun again here in Finland. And today, the season 5 episode with Cliff Richard was on. Looks like his Anderson connection goes beyond his contribution to the first Thunderbird movie. His past cars include a Ford Thunderbird and a Corvette Stingray. How about that?
Nice.
Yeah, great spot, Matty. So yes, do join our Facebook group if you're of a mind to, because they have a lot of fun over there. It's a lovely community. And I have to say, over the past year, they've done a lot of good, keeping each other's peckers up. So more power to them.
Absolutely. Yes. Nice to have such a lovely group, lovely bunch. Indeed. Being so nice when it's so easy for the internet and social stuff to go all horrible and toxic. But
well, we won't have any of that.
Nah, never. Not allowed.
Never.
Too positive. Rich James, is there anything else you would like to deliver before we return to the world of Terrahawks?
No, that'll be it for now, but a little later on I'll be reading out some tweets and also some YouTube comments too.
Oh, cool. I can't wait for those. Well, we'll have to wait because we've got Jeremy Hitchen. He's back.
Great.
Well, Einstein, the clone, had 9 lives, but Jeremy Hitchen has got 3 parts, as it turns out, and this is the second of those parts.
Great.
Oh dear. Yes, Jeremy's back with more tales of fun and laughter from the world of Terrahawks and beyond. Plenty of anecdotes, and I'm going to hand over before the dog drowns me out with the barking. Over to you, Jeremy. Your day job was publishing.
Oh yes, my day job. I was selling advertising space.
Yes.
I worked on a magazine called Micro Decisions, so I was selling advertising space to computer companies, software companies, peripheral manufacturers, all that sort of stuff. And then when this job arrived, I said to my boss, "Listen, I'm going to have to take a couple of days off a month because I'm recording this program." And it's a Gerry Anderson production and Christopher Burr and blah, 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 blah. And of course, they loved it because they thought, oh, well, he's going to be slightly in the limelight, although I never really was. So they gave me the time off. And Anne Riddler would meet me at the end of the road, of course, who played Sistar, and give me a lift because I didn't have a car, couldn't drive. I was only about 21. I was just a boy. And off we go and have a great time. And I, got very pally with Windsor Davies when, yes, I remember. Bray Studios had like a subsidised bar in it. And at lunchtime, other of the cast members would go off and talk about their wonderful show they did at the Roundhouse, darling, and at the Globe and all of this, and I didn't have any of that going on. So Windsor Davies would always say, "Come on, kid, you and me is going to the bar." And we'd go and sink about 4 or 5 pints of Stella Artois. So I can't remember recording. I was a kid, and I didn't know how to drink like these people. So, but I obviously got through it. But it was always a great adventure, and Windsor was he was a lovely bloke, great fun.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it was a friendly crowd. I guess Windsor was probably slightly removed in a sense, although clearly kind of took you under his beery scented wing. But everything I hear, it feels like it was a positive, happy group.
Oh, it was very Denise Bryer, who is just one of the world's loveliest people. Anne Riddler, sadly not with us anymore. And Robbie Stevens, we're still great friends. I spoke to him about a week ago, and we do. We've constantly been in touch, and obviously we got together during Captain Scarlet as well. So that was great. Yeah, it was. The only difference with Windsor Davies and the rest of us is Windsor Davies could only do Windsor Davies.
Oh, well, and Indian Windsor Davies.
He did do that, and I sort of am a little bit embarrassed when I think about that because it was so stereotypically sort of.
But again, it was the time. It was, things have changed, and for the better. But I don't think nobody was setting out to offend anyone.
Oh no, certainly not. But I will never forget the Xeroid that was an Indian doctor in the Terrahawks. Oh my God. Well, anyway, there we are.
Which I'm sure we brought him back for just a little token line in the audio series, but we can talk about reviving the audio series a little bit later on, Jez.
Yes.
So in terms of your experience of being involved from right at the start, things like Einstein, I've got photos of the original puppet. He had the grey bits of hair on the side, but he was bald, the original one.
That's right.
Looked a bit more like Dad, actually.
He did.
So, but from the point you were involved, character designs were changing, the tone of the show was changing. You watch the first 2 episodes now, they're kind of dry. There's a kind of flat, kind of humorless element to them. And I love Terrahawks as well, but as it went on, it really seemed to find its feet kind of mid-series 1, end of series 1. You got the more comedy coming in. What was that like for you?
Yes, it was. And I remember one of the earliest, when I could see in the script how this show was developing, because as you say, expect the unexpected. The first 2 episodes were, they were introducing us to Zelda and to, all the characters and Mary and all of that sort of stuff. So I kind of get that, and the whole setup of the White House. But I remember Hero had been down on Earth for a bit, and then he, rocketed himself up to the space station, Hawk.
Spacewalk.
Spacewalk. Thank you. Okay, so
too many hawks. Fair enough.
And of course, Lieutenant Hero used to look after some plants.
Yeah.
And the line, what was the line? He came in and went, "Oh, hello, Lantana. Hello, Cassandra. Oh, you look beautiful. Oh no, great glean fry." Yes.
Which again now you think, oh, that's you out of a job there. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Goodbye.
That's you in jail. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was. I mean, they were. But that was when the sort of humour was starting to come into it. And to be fair, out of all of the shows your dad did, and indeed you did, it was the funniest, wasn't it? It was the only one that really had humour at the base. Because
I mean, Dick Spanner's the next, but that was really pun driven, whereas I think there was much more kind of mixed child and adult humour really in Terrahawks over time.
Yes, I think so. And some of the Zelda herself, whilst a lot of kids were watching that show, might have been a little bit frightened by Zelda because she looked so hideous, but she was funny.
Especially
absolutely. With her earrings and all of that. She was
strange.
all of that. She was and young star ridiculously.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, to treat those villains as anything other than pantomime feels odd, especially now.
Yes.
That was part of the joy of the whole show, was the surreal ridiculousness of it. And how did it compare to your expectation based on watching things like Stingray and Thunderbirds? I mean, it was obviously a lower budget show, a very different style, different vibe. So was it what you were expecting, or was it a bit of a kind of, oh, this is different, but that's fine?
Not having worked on a project like that, I don't think I had any expectations. I thought it was, read the script, get some ideas for new characters that come in, try them out, see how they go, and I think we winged it. Yeah. We winged it, all of us. Again, like when we did the episodes with the audio episodes. Again, it was atmospherically, I think, exactly the same. I mean, obviously, the majority of the voiceover people were the same crew, with Denise and Robbie and me, and then Beth that did a spectacular job. I think she was a great addition.
She fitted in perfectly.
Lovely gal, and it was. Well, you were there. We had such a blast.
I was indeed, and it was great fun.
It was great fun, and that's how. I mean, hopefully the end product came out okay, despite my.
No, I'm really super proud of the Terrahawks audios thing, and we will come back to those post Scarlet if we keep on going chronologically. So just sort of rounding off the Terrahawks experience, Jez. Yeah, Dad directed you, did he, on the audio sessions? Is that right, or did you have somebody else directing? Was it the episodic directors? I can't remember.
No. It was your dad.
Yeah, and how was he as a director? And you should say this freely and not as if you're speaking to his son.
I know, honestly, I got on great with your dad. I really, in fact, there is a Dick Spanner story. I'll tell you with regard to Shane Rimmer. I think you know, but it was interesting and it was fascinating. I'll tell the story and then you can
go for
keep it or lose it. But no, I got on great. He was very gentle. Your dad is obviously a creative, and therefore he never pushed his ideas on that I remember on you. He just said, "What do you think? Where do you want to go with that?" And then he'd say, "I like it," or "I don't like it."
Absolutely, freedom to try.
It was one of those situations where if he didn't like it, which I don't actually remember ever happening. I don't know. That sounds, but it's true. It would never be in a your crap type way. It would always be a let's say take that, let's move it over here, and it was just gentle. He was. I just remember, if somebody said, "What would your one word be about Gerry Anderson?" I'd say, "Gentleman." Well,
what a fine compliment.
No, I mean it. Absolutely. Yeah. So although he was no walkover.
No.
And that's the story where obviously when Dick Spanner happened, Shane Rimmer was doing the voice, and it was only a little 5-minute Channel 4 show. And I think there was one line needed changing, and your dad phoned Shane Rimmer and said, "Listen, I need this line changing." And Shane Rimmer said, "Okay, that's fine, but it'll cost you 750 quid, which was an insane amount of money. Even then, it's an insane amount of money now. And Gerry said, "Well, this is just a fun project. There isn't that kind of dough on this. There just isn't." So, and because he was the only voice, he was the only guy who could do it. So that night, your dad phoned me up and said, "Would you like to have lunch?" I said, always. So I went down to Bray and we went out for a pint and a pie, and he said, "I've been friends with this man for so long." Obviously, he was the voice of Scott Tracy, and for those people who want to know, Shane Rimmer was he was also Roger Moore's. He was what was his name? The American his Felix Leiter. He was Roger Moore's Felix Leiter in the Roger Moore Bond film. So he was a star for sure. But he'd sort of tried to put one over on your dad. So your dad said to me, "Any ideas on the voice for this?" So I went, "Yes, I have actually," and I did it, and then we did the pilot episode, which we showed at the Andacon thing, and then unfortunately Channel 4,
didn't renew
not for a 5-minute show anymore. They were looking for only 30 minutes, so it didn't happen. But bring that back, Jamie. Bring that back. I'm still available.
He's always gunning for work. That Jeremy, can't avoid it. No, well that episode is on the Dick Spanner Blu-ray if people haven't seen it, and yes, it's a very different time in terms of the humour and jokes and stuff that you wouldn't do now. But it's again, you've got to appreciate it for what it is and for the time.
Another day in the Big Pair.
Yeah. Oh, the Big Pair. Yeah, and there's a classic Spannerism there. So you clearly stayed in touch with that after the end of Terrahawks. Was the end of Terrahawks a kind of a sad, like, I was hoping this would go on, or was it the end and like, I've done enough now. 39 was enough.
Well, for me, I you know me, Jamie. I love the work. And I have, to most directors that and producers and so on, I'm probably a pain in the butt because I mess about too much.
Part of the fun. Got to do it.
I go there to have a good time, and I did. So when it was over, to be frank with you, I was absolutely gutted because we were a good team. We did have a great time, and we did push out, I think, a good product at the end.
Yeah, Oh, people remember it very fondly. So clearly, it's got a very different audience to sort of the classic Super Mario Nation shows, but the huge amount of recognition now, it's really hitting that nostalgia point where, you made quite an impact on kids at the time.
When I don't broadcast it to many people, but now and again it comes up in conversation. Oh, what are your voice? Oh, what have you done? Or so I did it. Oh my God! And there are so many people I meet who are sort of in their 40s who remember it, and 50s who remember it vividly.
Yeah.
So when it first happened, your dad said, "Look, there's going to be 13 episodes, and that's it." And then he came back and said, "Well, actually, it's going pretty well, and we've sold it to America, so we have to do some more. And we think we'll squeeze one more series," which obviously we did, and then one more. So, there was never, from our point of view, there was never an expectation that it was going to run to 36 episodes. We all thought it was just going to be the 13. So, I'm glad of it. It was great. It's very motivating to say, "Oh, we've got another 13 coming up."
Yeah.
But it was sad. But that said, we done did it again, boy.
Exactly. Little did you know that all those years later you'd be doing another 24 of them. But we'll come to that shortly. So, what took you from 86 through to 2005 then, Jez? Just give me a sort of a couple of minutes summary of what you got up to in that intervening time, and then how you got back in touch on New Captain Scarlet.
Well, my wife and I have a publishing and events business. And after that time, we launched a magazine called Build It for people who want to build their own homes, self-builders. And we launched a thing called the National Self-Built Home Show, which kept us busy. And we ran that for 5 or 6 years. And in the meantime, my wife and I have produced 4 wonderful little daughters who I never used to see because I was on the road. We had the Self-Built Home Show. We had one in Ali Pali in London, one at GMEX in Manchester, one at the SECC in Scotland. And we had like 14 regional little shows to grow the market. I was away all the time. And my daughter fell over, my youngest daughter, who's in the next room, fell over when she was about 2. And I went to pick her up and she's like, "Who the hell are you?" And I said to my wife, this is not what this is about. We can't spend our lives chasing the greenback. We've got to appreciate these beautiful little kids. And so we basically sold that business and went off to live in Spain because I, wanted to just be in a nice environment and bond with my kids for a year. But I ended up getting because of the voiceover thing, I went to local radio stations in Spain. There's lots of English-speaking stations down there and said, "Look, I can do voiceovers if you've got commercials and so on." And the first station I went to, Spectrum FM, said, "Well, why don't you do the breakfast show?" I went, "No, okay." So we were to stay in Spain only for just a year or so with the kids, but we ended up staying for 4.5, 5 years. And I became a radio broadcaster, which I really loved. But then it was time to come back to the real world. So we did. We came back and moved to Edinburgh in 2000. And then we launched a magazine called Edinburgh Festivals Magazine and set up a thing called Foodies Festivals, which is now Britain's biggest outdoor food and drink shows. So that's my wife's business, and I help her a bit with that. And in fact, I'm the compere on the Chef's Theatre. So, and I love cooking. So it's not work; it's just fun. And then I can't remember. I can't remember how I got the nod on Captain Scarlet.
Did Robbie put you back in touch or something?
No, I phoned Robbie. Somebody phoned me from. It was one of the directors. Was it David or Mark? Dave Lane or Mark Willard? Yeah. Yeah, I think phoned me and said, "Do you want to come down and have a look at this?" And then I went down and I was in the cab on the way to Pinewood or Elstree or where it was. Pinewood, wasn't it? Pinewood, yeah. Yeah, and I phoned Robbie and I said, "Listen, this has all happened quite quickly, but I'm in a cab on my way to Pinewood Studios to audition for Captain Scarlet, new Captain Scarlet. Get on the case." And he went, "Right, will do." So I don't know who's his agent or whether he phoned Gerry. And so I got to Pinewood and met with your dad, who said, like in the Terrahawks and in previous shows, we've used such a small crew of voiceover artists for budgetary reasons that people have to do multiple characters. And he said that, sadly, you can tell that this voice is the same person as that voice doing these, things. He said, so because this is like the most dynamic cartoon ever created at the time, I think it was the most expensive.
It was very
CGI.
Expensive.
It's like £1 million an episode.
Yeah.
And I know that I know the budget on voices was about £37, but the rest of it went to the 120 programmers or something.
Yeah.
But it was a great show, and I think it didn't, if I may say, it didn't get the praise it deserved, because it was very well written, it was very well produced, great characters. But Gerry, your dad said to me, "Look, I want me to play the baddie, so we're not using the guy who does." Captain Blue, it happened to be Robbie Stevens. We don't want him. He just needs to be Captain Blue.
Yeah.
And, Colonel White just needs to be Colonel White. And you need to be because you can mix it up a bit. We can bring you back as a new baddie every week, which was great because but it was a very, very different, atmosphere. It was because there were about 12 of us in this barn, wherever it was in Sussex or something. And yes, because you had Mark and David directing, they were, your dad would just sort of breeze in and out as a sort of oversight thing.
Yeah. But
they were very, very disciplined, these guys. And it was not how I was used to. So when I start buggering about,
Yeah, all right, Jeremy, we're on the clock here. So
Yeah, we'll save that for later. But did you hear the one about that? No, I don't want to hear about that one. So, it's still great fun because, for me anyway, I was playing different characters from episode to episode as opposed to, the same one. So there was always a nice little twist for me to use my brain and whatnot.
Lovely. But it's amazing how different the two productions could be under the same captain, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. But then, it was a bigger crew for voiceovers. It was different directors, different writers, and it was a very, as we said earlier, it was Terrahawks was funny, so there was always going to quite funny. I think it's very funny, but so it was made in that environment where Captain Scarlet was quite dark and. That people died and things like that. So
tougher to have a chuckle over somebody's demise.
Exactly. So it was, I think the atmosphere of recording reflected the seriousness of the show.
Yeah. Ah, Jeremy. I love Jeremy's chuckle.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a nice man. Jeremy, thank you for your time. More Jeremy, the final of Jeremy's 3 parts next week on Pod 152. And
Great.
We'll get, again, some really, really sort of tender reflections on Jeremy's time working with Dad and his thoughts on the shows in general. Yeah, and I'm sure he plugs his Foodies Festival thing as well. So
now, well, I'm sure he will do. Yes,
anyway,
quite right too. Now, I have a question, Jamie. Do you think it's fair to say that those actors that provided voices for the puppets in the Marionette series had more interaction with your dad than perhaps the live action actors? And I only say that from my own experience, and I've said this many times before, that during the filming of Space Precinct, I didn't really see a lot of Gerry. He wasn't very often on the set. I seem to remember he did a couple of sort of second unit shoots. He took control of those a couple of times. But for the most part, he was in his office, banging the phones, trying to keep the show afloat.
Yeah.
And yet, when I hear stories from voice actors from, the Supermarination series in particular, they always seem to have a closer relationship with Gerry. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. He directed a lot of the voice sessions, particularly on Terrahawks, so that's where they worked together a lot there. It varied from show to show, and I think the earlier people were involved on the Supermarination side in particular, the more involved they were with him. He sort of, built up the bond over time with repeated jobs and that sort of thing. But also, over time, the team was growing. He was becoming, more of a sort of, I guess what would now be a showrunner or an exec producer role than necessarily being directly involved in the day-to-day. So, varies massively over time. And also, I think he just didn't necessarily get on that well with everyone.
Right, sure, yeah.
So there was a degree potentially of avoiding talent if they were at all deemed to be difficult, maybe.
What are you trying to say?
I'm not saying anything about you.
What? Just a minute.
No.
Point taken, yeah. No, it's interesting. Now, over on Twitter, Nick Jury tweeted, earlier today I listened to Lubna Kerr talking on the Gerry Anderson podcast about life, career and Joe 90. And I think Lubna is onto something about a jet air car. I'll get behind any politician who backs it. What about it, Nicola Sturgeon? Scotland could lead the way on this. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Lost in Transition tweeted, just listening to the first bit of the Gerry Anderson podcast today. Nice, smooth intro from Richard James at the suggestion of Jamie Anderson, or as I think I'll call them as of today, Jamie Toots Anderson and Richard Jazzy Jazz 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 James.
I think you should adopt that.
Yeah. Now, over on YouTube, Keith Gooch posted another great episode of the Gerry Anderson podcast with all the usual banter between Rich and Jamie. I loved Richard's anecdotes about all the diverse roles he'd auditioned for and didn't get, like a fly and a spoon. The second part of the interview with Lubna Kerr was really interesting and nice to hear another Scottish voice on the podcast. Ian Dealey said, great interview with Lubna Kerr. I hope she has the Joe 90 on Blu-ray. I've been watching the series during the week of Gerry Anderson Day and the quality is fantastic. John Clay says, some more content around Doppelganger would be interesting, considering a lot from the film reappeared in UFO. I greatly admire the heights the film reached, and I've watched a lot of behind the scenes from 1965 of all the Century 21 crew being very busy. Yeah, that's a nice idea. I'm assuming that Chris Dale has made a video at some point along the way about Doppelganger.
I was going to say, if you go onto our YouTube channel and watch the Doppelganger primer, that's probably a good place to start, because there's some quite interesting observations in there.
Is there a novelisation, by any chance?
Oh, no. And I don't think there will be, because it's MGM? It's Universal. It's a Universal film. And we have talked to them before about doing some stuff, and they don't seem to be very interested. So, that's that.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, their loss.
Their loss, yeah, that's what we say to the big studios. You're quite right. Now, I've just realised we started this podcast without Chris Dale being here.
Oh, God, well, where is he? I thought it was quiet.
It turns out that, because I've got one of those fancy doorbells with the remote thing, but the battery'd run out, and poor Chris had been pressing the button, and it hadn't been ringing because it's run out of battery.
And it's been pouring down out there as well.
I know, he's been stood outside this whole time. So, Chris, come in. It's time for your randomizer. Here's a blanket. Wrap it round yourself.
Yeah.
And we'll sit down together and enjoy Chris Dale's marvellous Randomiser.
Oh, hello everyone. Well, I'm afraid I don't really have a proper introduction for you this week. You see, I've asked Kate Kestrel to press the button on the randomiser, but she's a very busy lady. She's on tour at the moment. She did say she would contact me as soon as she had that printout. So, talk of the devil. Go ahead, Kate. Which episode did you get? You what? Sorry, you got what? Oh, okay, right. Thank you. Well, here's Space Precinct. So, welcome back to Space Precinct on the Randomiser, and indeed welcome to an episode that is chock full of some rather high highs, but also some very low lows. And I think we kick off with one of the highs, the effects sequences. That's a gorgeous shot of the space station to open this episode. On board this space station is a chap who's he's doing that very clever thing that you sometimes see in TV shows and films that I'm never convinced would actually work, where they, in order to get past someone who's watching a security camera, they take a photo of what the security camera sees and put it over the camera so that to the person who's viewing the security monitors, it doesn't look like anything's changed. I've never believed for a moment that would work. I think you just get a sort of dark, slightly fuzzy picture on the screen, which would of course alert the watching operative to the fact that something is wrong, and something is wrong. A Tarn thief chappie is sneaking into this room, in the middle of which is a sort of table thingy, sort of circular table thingy with a great big glowing egg thing floating in the middle of it, but also a floor with lots of red lines, and he uses a little eye apparatus to see that some of the tiles on the floor are marked with great big red explosion signs. So, probably best not to step on those. And this chap's name is Vela Sugoi. And he's doing the thing again with the security camera. And of course the chap supervising the security monitors doesn't really notice because he seems to be looking at a travel brochure. He's now got this he's got this sort of Geordie LaForge visor type thing to see what panels are best not to step on. And we also now see that the glowing egg thingy is also protected on all sides by sort of infrared laser bars, so best not to touch those either. Oh, there's some sort of cold steam type effect coming off this thing. He's now trying to lift it out with his third eye. But he's been caught. A little hatch opened up on the wall and he's immobilized. Little beam thing.
Very good, Bella. But not good enough.
So that was Mr. Rodan, the security chief of this station, who will also be a character we'll be seeing again later on.
I'm telling you! It was the greatest crossover rollout I've ever seen.
Oh yeah? Then you never saw Fortnite play slam ball. Now there was a bumper.
Yeah, so you keep saying. You guys are late.
Well, sorry guys, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Hey.
I like this element in the episode.
80% humidity.
It's a recurring thing with Brogan and Haldane keep running into these same two
Got me? No idea.
Paramedic guys.
Homicide?
We don't know yet.
And they clearly don't get along.
This guy. Name's Vela Sugoi.
Vela Sugoi? The jewel thief? I thought he went straight.
Well, we don't know that he didn't yet, but somebody's got to tell his wife.
Rather you than me, Brogan. Someone bring her in.
Everyone's so helpful at Precinct 88. Yeah, it saves time that everyone at Precinct 88 also knows about Vela.
We don't need you.
Mr. Rodan.
Now in Captain Podley's office.
See that this Luxorian ice of yours is worth 2 million credits?
Billion. Per cylinder. A total.
Mr. Rodan and Miss Newmar have come to
On the galaxy that wouldn't be prepared to buy it on the black market.
have a meeting.
If it were available.
And you want to bring one of these cylinders into my precinct to show it off to the Energy Commission?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Who do you think would take the fall if anything went wrong? You? Somehow I don't think so.
Captain, you're overreacting. We wouldn't be taking a risk like this if we couldn't protect our investment.
And here we have a problem with this episode.
Where the Solar Tech has its own army.
And this is the first example of something that is really going to work against this one.
Come in.
Both of our main female guest characters are dubbed by other actresses. At least I assume this is...
Major police presence at the Energy Commission tomorrow night, whether you like it or not.
This is not Sheila Ruskin, who plays Newmar, providing her own voice.
Cooperation.
Well, I still think it's unnecessary, but I'm sure we can work something out.
As Mr. Rodan has been presented with Castle and Took to assist, and he's clearly very grateful for the opportunity to work quite closely with them. And here's our Orin and Romek subplot for the week.
Yo, Romek, this one looks good. Loves slam ball, intimate dinners, long weekends in other orbits. Wants a man with a sense of humor, steady income, and a full head of hair. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Hey, look who's talking, Mr. Hair Restorer.
Oh, come on!
That had been established by this point, hadn't it?
I don't need this dating agency. I can get plenty of action on my own.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, that was after this. Was that in Two Against the Rock, maybe?
Okay. Suppose it won't hurt to take a look.
Oh, man!
Well, clearly those two have nothing better to do this week.
Where is he? Can I see him?
The thing is, Lindo...
He doesn't really have a head anymore.
Autopsy?
Yes.
Things were going so great for us. Finally. Oh, Brogan, I should have been there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you really should have been there. You failed him, not me.
Mrs. Sugoi, we know this is tough.
Yeah, this Tarn, animatronic head playing Mrs. Sugoi, I believe, has appeared before. She seems to be a lot of sort of grieving widows and old ladies.
Of course he was. You guys know that. He's been a legitimate private security consultant since he got out.
Do you know who he's working for?
Different companies. He never told me. I never asked.
Oh. Yes, that's Kate Harper providing the voice of Mrs. Sugoi there, and I'm wondering if she provides the voice of our next.
Can I have a refill, babe?
There she is, obviously dubbed female character.
Whatever you want, Sylvain. You got it.
Yes, we're now in, we're now in steamier surroundings. Penthouse apartment. Lady wearing, well, I would have to assume nothing beneath that bed sheet. Doing a full examination on the mouth of Mr. Tom Chadbon, who I believe is playing a character called Max Zeller.
Oh, Sylvain.
But Doctor Who fans will know him as Duggan, so I'm just going to call him Duggan for this. I'm afraid it's just one of those associations. I associate that name with this actor. No matter what I see him in, he's always Duggan. But yeah, that was a very, for this show, rather steamy scene and fairly inappropriate for a family audience. Maybe, don't know. One of the problems with this show is how wildly it swings from one emotional extreme and even audience extreme to another.
I really thought I could help him.
Well, you did help Bella. I mean, you got him into rehab.
Yeah. Look what happened.
Yeah, well, you know, there's always career plan B. I think I'd like to be a shuttle driver's wife.
Do we have supportive Sally this week? I think we might have supportive Sally this week. As opposed to psychotic shrew Sally, which is what we have most of the time. And again, just for the record, I do not blame
Logical trauma?
my dislike of Sally on Nancy Paul at all.
All I found were 2 marks in this little depression right near the temple.
Well, I guess we can rule out natural causes. Thanks, partner.
Dad, turn on the news.
The news? You?
Come on.
So we're now outside. Oh, there's a...
Environmental protesters are out in force today as Max Zeller, chief executive of the Fusion Power Company, arrives for the final round of meetings with the City Energy Commission. Fusion Power is vying to retain Demeter's lucrative energy franchise.
Well, that explained it all for me. I didn't have to...
Why are you watching this?
Fill in what was going on there.
Hit the sound.
Mr. Zeller, do you expect to retain the energy franchise?
I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
These people...
And Tom Chadbon has got a nice line in
waiting to happen.
very smarmy looks to the camera through this scene.
10 years that my company has held this city's energy franchise, Hyperfusion has provided the citizens of Demeter with a level of service unparalleled anywhere in the galaxy.
Solar Tech are claiming that their new luxuriant ice solar power system will be cheaper, cleaner, and safer.
Talk's cheap, but we don't know if luxuriant ice is, do we? Hyperfusion works. Pure and simple.
This is Jane Lovett reporting...
Man, that guy's so far out of orbit. Solar Tech's just so much further.
Further?
Yeah, well, as much as I hate Matt, that's not actually a difficult piece of kid slang to understand. I mean, you know, I still, if you want to put him in an airlock, I'm with you, but
I'm perfect.
It's not that difficult to understand. Anyway, Mr. Rodan
Not me.
Has apparently had a jolly old night on the town. He's been kicked out of a bar and collapsed just outside the door, actually. Later...
Do you need any help?
This man's unconscious. Get an ambulance.
The naughty old lady we saw in bed with Duggan earlier is with Mr. Rodan. And I don't know why I called her old lady, because she's not.
We put a stop meeting like this, Lieutenant.
Yay!
Tell you what, you get people to stop dying, I'll stay home.
That's what most people buy it, Lieutenant.
Can we have a show about these two guys?
So he bought you a drink?
Yeah. We talked for a while, then I went to freshen up. He was gone when I came back, so I just left. And then I found him lying there. Never even got his name.
Do you, mind if I scan your ID? Strictly routine. We do it for everybody.
Not at all.
Haldane.
Yes, this is Sylvain, who
Wait, if I need anything else, I'll let you know.
is a rather problematic character for this episode, despite being the main villain. Oh, spoiler alert, I'm sorry if you didn't already twig that.
I've got everything I need. Name, address.
Haldane, your brain's supposed to be located above your waist, remember?
You're assuming I have a brain.
Oh.
Come here, take a look at this.
Point to Haldane against Haldane.
But another one? Who is this?
Name's Rodan. He's head of security at Solar Tech. You better get in there and see if they got a security camera.
So they evidently didn't know that Rodan had already had a meeting with Podley.
This is her, huh?
Yep. She's meeting me here tomorrow, right after our shift.
My man! Whoa, you are hot!
Well, this Rodan guy's a real find.
Now Slow-Mo and Haldane are reviewing surveillance footage.
Anything?
No, I came in, had a few drinks, talked to the girl, left. What about you?
Solar Tech's going ahead with the presentation.
That's crazy.
Officer Haldane, I've continued to check out the little lady's assets. She was present in the bar on the previous night also.
Wait a minute. Who's there with her? Isolate the guy on the left. All right, now clarify and define. Vela.
Well. Sure knows how to pick 'em.
I'm about to...
So I never quite understood with this story why Rodan decided, knowing he had this big, important demonstration of the Luxurian ice to give to the Energy Commission, why he decided to go out and get absolutely sloshed just a night or two before. But hey-ho, that's already happened, he's dead.
Oh, this is unexpected.
I don't have him to worry about, I just have
But, Jack...
Sylvain to
Jack it is then.
I was just...
to cause problems.
My partner thinks that you had something to do with Tarn's death last night.
Well, I found the body.
Yeah, right. That's what I told Brogan, but... Well, we saw you on the security recordings at the bar.
You better come in then.
And this actress playing Sylvain, her name's Alison Fielding. I'm not aware that I've seen any of her work. Her IMDb
You saw me with the other guys, right?
CV only credits her as 6 roles through the early to mid-90s.
Why do you suppose that is,
So I don't know what her natural voice sounds like, but...
You're a pro. No way.
I'm very flattered, officer, but it's...
This voice is clearly not hers, and I think we've said this many times before. The dubbing just sinks so many characters on this show, particularly female.
Brogan, are you buying this?
Not with your money. A hooker without a rap sheet? I don't think so. How about you, Took?
I'm not getting anything from her. We're too far away.
Yet Brogan, Took and Castle are parked in cruisers at the bottom of the tower block where Sylvain lives.
I'm gonna be sick.
While Haldane's up,
2. Should we go for the heart of gold bid and make it a hat trick?
engaging in cliches with Sylvain.
You win.
And whoever's voice that is.
You don't give up, do you, Officer Haldane? All right, I'll make you some coffee. But it's the only thing that's free around here.
Deal.
Yeah, for a family show, this is a very strange character
Where exactly on Earth are you from?
to include.
USA. By way of New York City.
How'd you end up doing what you do?
I was gonna ask you the same thing.
Let's have a discussion about it.
Sad rap about the good girl gone bad in the big city. But the truth is, I left home when I was young, and I've been playing Miss Feelgood ever since.
Do we really have to listen to this?
Because Sylvain has spotted the police cruisers from her window, so she's spiked Haldane's drink here.
You see...
There's clearly nothing in the cup that Rob Youngblood is holding.
Which means there's no money in it. Do you want some sugar with that?
Yeah, please.
Anyway, when another girl suggests...
But for nothing in the cup, it's having a bit of an unpleasant effect on him.
Not many working girls can afford a crib this nice, you know. I found the sugar.
Oh, he's having some sort of attack. And Sylvain, realising she's being monitored,
Is that okay?
just keeps chatting away. But now she has a little headset thingy.
Don't want to make it too sweet for you. All right? You see, what they don't realize is this place is good for business.
And she's going to steal his brain.
Brogan, is this conversation sounding a little one-sided to you?
Yeah, it's not like Haldane to be at a loss for words around a woman.
But now we're coming up on a very cool bit.
Come on, Haldane, say something.
I mean, I do like the idea of this scene that
I got a funny feeling about this one, guys.
they're completely in the dark as to what's happened to him.
What are you doing?
We're going in.
The castle just goes straight up to the roof, vertically in the cruiser.
It's been a slice, Jack.
And Sylvain's got whatever she needed from Haldane's brain. He's now got one of those marks on his temple.
What a good idea.
Closer.
Took and Castle are positioning their cruiser over Sylvain's flat, so Castle can jump through. Landing on a floor that's already covered with glass, presumably from previous takes.
Haldane!
Brogan is... Oh, he's been outsmarted by Sylvain. She was apparently hiding in a cupboard. And she has made her escape. Although she's probably not going to get far in that outfit. She could stand to put on a jacket or something, because it's probably going to be a bit cold out there, wearing not much, as she is. And back at the station house...
We found this when we searched the apartment.
This is a centric mind probe. Massive neurological trauma. Damn it, I can't believe my own stupidity.
Captain?
The Centrons used these on Creon prisoners during the Thalassic Wars to gain vital strategic information.
Oh, backstory.
More than that, I'm afraid.
That's nice.
It can completely remove the contents of a mind, causing almost instant death.
But Haldane's alive.
I guess he was lucky. You must have interrupted her.
So, Haldane's mind is inside that thing?
No, that would be too easy. She's got another probe. You see these indicators? A centric mind probe can hold up to 5 minds. You just count the indicators. This one's empty.
I'm lost here. She can tap into his mind whenever she wants?
Yep. By pressing these contacts against the side of your head, you can access any of the minds that are stored inside the probe.
So Sylvain can now plug into Haldane's mind, and the mind of Solartech's head of security.
Yeah, she's got Bella Sugai's mind, too. One of the most notorious jewel thieves in Demeter City. Or was.
That's a nice idea for a...
It all adds up to one thing.
For a device and a story.
Nice. And it's on display tonight in the Energy Commission.
It's kind of almost a shame that it's in this story, and it's kind of lost in amongst the muddle of everything else. And outside Demeter City Hall, we're still protesting. Lots of these poor old extras with very unfortunate hair and facial tattoos, but also Sally and Matt are here.
Being a mom. Dad? What are you doing here? Where's Haldane?
He couldn't make it. Look, I'm on duty. I gotta go. Try and stay out of...
I don't really like you guys. Just leave me alone. Yep, lots of protesters outside the hall as the demonstration begins.
Clear. Fusion Power has done the job we were hired to do. Renew our franchise for the next 10 years. And our proven and reliable hyperfusion process will continue to keep Demeter City working. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zeller. And now Miss Newmar of Solartech Enterprises.
Yes, and as I said before, Newmar is played by...
For the last 10 years...
Sheila Ruskin, who...
Demeter City have had to live in fear.
Has had a long and...
a micro...
successful and varied career.
...reactor could contaminate the whole city.
But I have never seen a performance of hers where she's been using this voice.
Is a chance to be free of that fear.
And unlike Alison Fielding, I'm not 100% convinced that this is not her voice. It might have been... It's obviously dubbed.
Primary energy source. But Solartech has the solution.
But it might be her providing the dubbing.
Please turn your attention to the screen.
But she clearly wasn't using this accent in the recording.
At Solartech's new orbital state-of-the-art, unmanned and fully automated solar power station.
It's pretty... And meanwhile, there's a suspicious chap outside with a black suit on.
The galaxy's first ever solar to plasma converter. This has been made possible by Solartech's discovery of Luxurian ice.
I mean, the voice doesn't even match the movements of the mouth at all on some lines, and that was also evident on Sylvain in the apartment just there.
Due to its perfect heliocentricity, Luxurian ice, absorbs sunlight as easily as a living organism draws air.
But Sheila Raskin was also in a Doctor Who. She was in Keeper of Traken.
Plasma energy, which in turn is...
And also in things like Blake 7 and The Professionals and lots of other things you'll have seen if you're in the UK or you like quality television.
Throughout this process, its temperature remains absolute constant.
And the dubbing is particularly noticeable through this scene because she's just got so much to say during this demonstration. She's now putting a glass of water on top of the Luxurian ice.
Freeze! Hold it right there.
Excuse me, Lieutenant. He's part of my demonstration.
And I didn't have him here earlier because I shut up. Yeah, why not just have him there to start with? Rather than have all these shots of him pointlessly sneaking around looking sinister. But he has proven that...
Not even the superheated hydrocarbons from this torch can raise the temperature of this very special ice.
Yeah, what she said. The glass of water is now frozen.
Ice, ladies and gentlemen. Efficient, inexpensive,
cold,
and safe.
Brilliant. What do you think?
It's really cold.
A very impressive pitch, Miss Newmar, but how do we know it really works?
As Mr. Zeller would say, talk is cheap. So, if you'd care to look at the screen, I'll show you.
More lovely models.
You should be able to make out the pyramid outline of Solartech's new headquarters. It's about...
Where? Oh, what you mean the massive skyscraper that's impossible to miss, yeah.
Watch closely.
Yeah, Sheila Raskin was actually doing I don't know if you can see it acting, and on the screen was this great big massive model that completely blots out the sun. But this is some lovely stuff. The space station beaming the energy from the Luxurian ice down to the collector. And it lights up the whole complex. This is a lovely model. And again, this is one of the real strengths of this episode is in the effects. Newmar's looking very pleased with herself, as well she might.
Thank you, Miss Newmar. Certainly an impressive demonstration.
And except for this chairman guy, most of the committee are fairly unfortunate-looking characters. There's a couple of human guys with, the strange facial tattoos, and there's some Creon and Tarn heads that clearly aren't articulated at all. And now the beam from the space station has gone off the path of the collector. It's now tearing through the city. It nearly took out the Interchem building.
Better shut that thing down!
From Flash.
Automated!
Well then, close it down yourself!
What the hell do you think I'm trying to do?
Mamma mia! I mean, Oh, yeah, gone straight through the skyscraper. Oh, and some very nice shots here as well of live action people panicking in the streets in front of model shots. The committee, the awful extras, they're all running for their lives.
Fine. Romek, you get the ice and make sure nobody comes near it.
What about Solartech security?
Especially them.
What about my dating subplot?
You see if you can get the demonstrators to disperse and tell Took to set up by the elevator. Nobody comes in or out.
Yeah, that's strange. We don't see Sally and Matt while all this is going on. I wouldn't have minded seeing them running for their lives. Oh, this is so nasty. Yep, some running people got crushed there by falling debris. It's all looking very bad for Demeter City.
You were a tough act to follow, Newmar.
Oh dear, there she is.
I hope my little demonstration got your attention too.
We've got it. Now what do you want?
Simple. One cylinder of Luxurian ice is already here. Now I want the other one, and I want it brought to me by hostage. That's how it's done, right?
And if we refuse?
I'd hate to be in Demeter when the plasma beam slices through Fusion Power's reactor.
What? You're insane. Can't let some maniac hold our city captive like this.
Insane? Maniac? Okay, here's a crazy idea, Mr. Zeller. Since you're so righteous, you can be the hostage. How does that sound?
Not good, Sylvain.
Ah, Lieutenant Brogan. Well, you certainly get around.
Sylvain is now in another ridiculous outfit, needless to say.
What I can't do. Let's consider my frame of mind. Or should I say, minds?
I know your mind, Sylvain.
Of course you do. And as your partner would say, let's cut to the chase, Brogan.
Then cut to it.
You're so predictable, Brogan. I feel I've known you for years. Now you're gonna say you need time to think about my offer. So I'll tell you what. You've got 5 minutes. Bye.
It's just enough time for her to change into another new outfit.
I should go. My company created Luxurian Eyes and the power station she's taken over.
I can't let you do that.
But if she...
Two such obviously dubbed characters in the same place, it's just gonna cause a disaster.
You suggest that we do?
The Solartech logo on Newmar's ID badge, by the way, looks a lot like the GoldenEye logo.
I'm sorry, Mr. Zeller. It's not gonna work.
I'm not exactly jumping up and down at the thought myself, but we're out of options here.
And that's a good example of why, I feel so sorry for Sheila Ruskin and Alison Fielding in this episode, because Tom Chadbourne is giving a really good performance, and because it's his own voice, you completely buy into it, whereas Sylvain and Newmar are just completely undermined by
Me and the ice.
the redubbing.
Baby.
Anyway,
You were incredible.
Duggan and the Luxurian Ice are here on the station with Sylvain, and of course, because we knew he was rolling around in bed with her earlier,
We have one remaining security problem.
they were in on this together.
You. Now that Solartech is finished, Fusion Power will retain the energy franchise. So I have no further need of your services. Think about it. When the dust settles, I'll be a hero. Great, huh? Sorry, babe.
Oh dear.
You're so predictable, Max. Vain men always are.
It's her catchphrase this episode.
This one works.
You're so predictable, so-and-so.
We'll talk while you get the ice.
Ooh. And then you do what?
I'll cover you.
So she's got one canister of ice from the demonstration. Now she's sending Duggan in to get the one from the room with the death traps. And of course, because she's got Sugoi's mind at her fingertips, she can see where the death traps are. But he cannot.
Sylvain.
Get the ice.
Why does she... I don't know what she wants the ice for now. What, is she just going to leave the solar system and spoil everybody's day? She's already spoiling Duggan's day. Oh, was that the right tile? It's as exciting as Death to the Daleks, this, watching these floor tiles. All the 5 doctors even. And that's it. He's gone. So all we can say is...
You're a great lover, Max.
That, or...
Bye-bye, Duggan!
It's hard to find a man you can trust, isn't it, Lieutenant? Come on, Brogan. I've got your partner here, remember?
Oh, so Brogan snuck onto the station as well.
He's up here on his own. You hid in the limo, right?
And again, going back to how the dubbing just undermines these performances, Alison Fielding's manic eye acting
Just like when the Tepper brothers blew that bank job back in Queens.
is really something to see. She's a really good fit for the character physically,
When he was assigned to go in as a hostage.
but just the voice is killing it.
Heal is 15 minutes by hiding beneath the rear seat.
I mean, that and the fact that she's dressed like, I don't know...
Everything you're gonna do.
Funny how the mind plays tricks on you, isn't it, Sylvain?
Oh, and who's this?
You don't know everything, huh? Like the fact that your little toy malfunctioned. That was a nasty thing you did, little lady.
Oh, this is clever. Making her think that she didn't get all of Haldane. But really, he's being worked
Oh, Brogan, like I know Brogan.
by Took, Fredo, and another Tarn surgeon are working his mouth, and Slow-Mo's providing the voice. Giving Brogan enough time to turn on the lights and overpower her. Oh, no, because she kicked him in the nuts. Is this the first time we've ever seen one Gerry Anderson character kick another in the nuts? Oh, and Brogan's just elbowed her in the face and taken the headset thingy, but the station is powering up the beam again, and it's slicing across the bay.
Okay, Captain. I've got her, and I've got the mind probe.
No, not the mind probe.
All right, but you've got a bigger problem now. The beam's been activated. You've got to try and shut it down.
I don't know where to start.
Come on, Brogan, think. You've got Solartech security chief right there with you.
I wonder what they actually do with the minds of Rodan and Sugoi after all this is over.
Okay, I got Rodan.
They just leave them in the machine, or can they do something with them? Again, it's one of those things in the story that's never really explored.
The beam's still on. What's happening?
I don't know. Sylvain's shot must have disabled the control system.
You've got to do something, Brogan.
The ice.
Yes, if you remove the ice, then the station loses all power. And luckily, Brogan can now...
Is there anything you'd like to tell me about Mr. Trask, maybe?
Haldane flashing back to a conversation that he wasn't part of. That was a clip from Enforcer, where Castle is interviewing the little girl. Very random moment to pick. Yes, Brogan has now got access to Sugoi's memory of the floor tiles, and also Rodan's memory of Sugoi being caught by the little immobilizing beam, so he has to work his way across the floor, avoiding the tiles, and also be ready to shoot the beam projector. Oh, and now it's cutting through some warehouses. Lovely explosions. I would actually much rather watch what's going on in Demeter City rather than what's going on the space station, to be honest.
Come on, fellow old friend. Don't let me down.
My long and trusted, much established friend that I've never mentioned before this episode. Brogan's nearly there. He only decided to pick up one glove to handle the ice. He needs his other 3 to work the mind probe and have his gun ready.
Very good, Bella. But not good enough.
Well, it's always fun when a character has to watch things that we've already seen. And he watches it happen several times so that he fully understands what he has to do. I also don't... Why is just having the military blow up the station not an option, really? Who knows. Brogan luckily shot out the beam thingy. And now he's going to take the ice. Which looks a lot, actually, like the seed from Deathwatch. I wonder if it was the same prop they reused later on. But he's done it.
Yours. Let's say we call it a day, Haldane.
And that was another clip from an old episode as well. That was Haldane and Castle talking about scars. I can't remember what episode that's from. Naughty Me. So in the medical room, sick bay, whatever.
I'm amazed you survived it. And I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, now you've learned what a bad woman can really do to you.
Did you get her?
Sylvain? Yeah. Out like a light.
Elbowed her in their face after she kicked me in the balls.
Stop by Linda Sugoy's and let her know that Bella was just an innocent victim.
And maybe I'll give her his mind or something. I don't know what else I'll do with it, really.
Hey, Dad, I hear Solartech's gonna get the energy franchise.
Well, yeah, as soon as they work out some bugs in their security system.
Power to the people, Dad. It just shows if enough people get together and protest, they can really make a difference.
Well,
you had literally no impact on this story at all, but you keep thinking that if you want to pretend you're a vital part of this series.
I'm gonna call Nazi right now.
And we have one last subplot to wrap up.
The 411 shuttle from Demeter City is arriving in docking bay number 3.
Yep, Romek went ahead and contacted a lady.
Just remember, what you see ain't always what you get.
What are you talking about, Oren?
Hey, you know how easy it is to touch up a picture.
You just say enhance. Uh-oh.
No way. I'm out of here.
Yep, he saw
Excuse me, but who do I see about posting bail for my husband?
that lady and thought it was his girl, whereas in fact, there's this creature.
Excuse me. The sergeant told me this is where I would find Officer Romek.
Eyes almost popping out of her skull.
At your service.
There we go. So, well, a happy ending for Orin, presumably, and that was Space Precinct The Power, which is, it's an episode that I know could be better than it is, and so much of why it doesn't work is that annoying dubbing. I don't know to what extent removing all that dubbing would save it. Certainly a lot of it, the scenes in the Energy Commission and so on, look very cheap. There's just this tiny room with a few dismal-looking extras in. The effects, as always, are really superb. I think in this episode they've really nailed the whole keep shooting it at nighttime. That's the best way to make the city look real and interesting. So, never one of my favourites of Space Precinct, unfortunately. I wonder what old Richard James has to make of this one. I didn't mean to call him old either. Why do I keep calling people old? What's that about?
Ooh, well, and that makes you happy when it's Space Precinct, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, not so happy that it's The Power, though. Not our finest hour, I'm afraid. I don't think.
Space Precinct The Power, not their finest hour.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, exactly right.
Why is that?
Yeah, but, do you know, I suppose, this is probably a terrible thing to say. The director was Sidney Hayers, who had in his time, I think, worked on things like The A-Team and Knight Rider. But by the time he came to us, and this is awful because we had, some great directors, but I think he was a little past his prime, didn't really understand the concept. I remember him falling asleep more than once at the monitor. You'd be doing a scene and waiting for cut, and it would never come. And we'd all look over, and there he was nodding off in the corner. So perhaps a little underpowered, I think, as a director. I don't know. Maybe that's unfair, because he then went on to direct Predator and Prey later in the run, which is a very nice episode. So, hey, maybe I'm being unfair.
You probably are.
Yeah, probably.
But, you can't have strong episodes of every single time, can you, for a series?
No. And also, isn't that the one with the, I can't remember the character's name. I'm sure Chris mentioned it a few times. She's a prostitute, essentially, and that's very difficult, I think, for a show that's aiming itself at children. There's a bed scene in it that the set had to be cleared, to shoot that, and it was all a little bit kind of, well, what sort of show are we making here? Very odd.
Yeah, but sometimes these things are problematic and reflected on screen, unfortunately. So there we go.
Indeed.
Never mind.
Yeah, interesting, though.
Thank you, Chris. If you want to follow Chris on Twitter, then you should follow him at Chris Dalek on said Twitter.
Yes.
And if you want to listen to standalone randomizers, which many of you may well do, that's fine. We don't mind. Then just search on your podcast app of choice for Gerry Anderson Randomiser, and you will be able to get a weekly dose every Sunday.
Nice.
It is. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Okay. Well,
all right.
Are we rushing towards the end of this Pod 151 of the Gerry Anderson podcast?
I'm getting that sense too, yeah, to be honest.
Yeah, see, that was my calendar just popping up there saying you've got a meeting shortly. So,
yeah, fair enough.
I guess we should wrap this up.
Right.
If you've got anything to say, email us podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. Make sure you leave us a rating and a review, and we love seeing those things, and so please do that, and then share it with your friends and anything else. And that's it, isn't it, Richard?
That's it, yes. Come on.
Okay, we better go. Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Stage 1 complete.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Well, that was a bit of a rush, wasn't it?
I know. Well, I actually am. It's 1 minute past when I'm supposed to be on another call, so I actually probably should go, and we should stop doing this post-credit stuff, because it's.
I wouldn't want to hold you up, because
it's taking up valuable time.
Yeah, sounds really important.
Haven't you got anything to get to?
What if you were to miss the meeting? That would be awful, wouldn't it?
Well, actually,
ramifications would be terrible.
I'm just thinking about it, and maybe there's something to be said for turning up fashionably late.
Especially if you say, I've just been doing a podcast.
Yes, I'm terribly sorry. We've just been recording a podcast. Yes. It's our 151st episode, you know.
Yeah. Last week it was our sesquicentennial episode.
Sesquicentennial?
Yeah, that's it. Yes, you could say that. That would be
okay, fine. I'll do that. But I really better go. So have a great day. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Hope it goes well. Bye.
You have been listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Wasn't it fun?
You have been listening to an Anderson Entertainment production.